Welcome to the Anonymous Andrew podcast. Life and the choices we make, the choices other people make. This is a podcast that explores all things as they relate to dating, romance, and relationships. Why we sometimes ignore or miss the red flags. Red flags like gaslighting, cheating, lying, psychological manipulation, mental illness, addiction, and so much more. Join me each week as we continue my journey into the modern dating world with my weekend rants, anonymous guest dating stories, and experts who share their wisdom so I can help you navigate the dating terrain. If you are new to the show or have been following me from the beginning, hold on tight for the Anonymous Andrew experience. Now on to the show. Greetings and welcome to Anonymous Andrew Podcast, Life and the Choices We Make, and welcome to Season 2, Episode number 1. And you might be looking at the day. It is Saturday, and normally I would be doing a weekend rant. I decided not to do a weekend rant this weekend because I have two ladies joining us who are going to do the ranting for me, or for us. What is Season 2 about? Season 2 is dating in the modern world. And if you've been listening to the past about a month of episodes, it is so complicated, especially with the dating apps. It has just gotten ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And so I found two women that, by the way, they are acquaintances of mine, and they're in their 30s. So we're talking about women of this current generation, mid 30s, young to mid 30s, and they cannot get dates. And I'm telling you, these two women are a catch. Both of them. I know them both. They're attractive, charming. There is absolutely nothing wrong with them. And yet, there's something happening in today's society of the dating world, and it is a mess. So I wanted to bring them on. I figured this is a great way to start Season 2, is just to dive right into it. By the way, the two women are Maggie and Nancy. Of course, that's not their real names. Nancy had a little technical glitch and couldn't join us until about halfway through the episode. So you're going to hear mostly Maggie at the beginning. I'm using a new recording software, and it's got some tricky technical stuff that we haven't worked out yet. Anyway, this is an incredible episode. This is going to give you the concept of what I have been trying to say for a long time now. So enjoy the episode, and we will talk to you on the other side. All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Anonymous Andrew Podcast. And today I have not one, but I have two guests. Joining me today are Nancy and Maggie. And Nancy and Maggie are two women who live in a metropolitan area. We're going to leave that out for now, which area. And they joined me today to talk about their experience in dating. And what's interesting about this episode is Maggie, if I'm not, well, first, ladies, say hello. Maggie, say hello.
Hello.
Okay, well, while Nancy tries to figure out how to unmute herself, Nancy does use dating apps. Maggie does not. Is that correct, Maggie?
Yeah, I've given up on them for now.
So how long has it been since you used a dating app last?
Oh, probably before the this summer. So it's October now, and so not since maybe May.
Okay. Okay. So May through October, and I would imagine. And by the way, I know these two ladies, these two women. Um, Maggie, you have gone on some dates this summer.
Yeah, yeah, actually, just with someone who I had met previously on a dating app, ironically. Um, Yeah, actually, just a couple people who I had met on a dating app. But then after, right, I met them like last year, so that was a while ago. And after that, I was having really bad luck finding anyone new who would want to meet in person. And so that's been part of a big problem for me. And I don't know, it used to be a lot easier to date for me, like when I was younger. And then now, I'm 34 now. And I don't know. It's like I used to just meet people on the street or wherever I was, and now that seems to not happen. Like everyone's looking at their phone a lot of the time, so I'm not really meeting as many people. But I still was so frustrated with the dating app, like with just nothing happening, that I just was like, I'm fuck it. Am I allowed to curse? Sorry.
Yeah. Yes.
I was
Yes,
like,
you
fuck
are.
it. Let me just try in person. And so I've been trying just I don't know, being aware when I'm out. Um, not much has happened in person either, except
Well,
I did meet someone at my job like last year, and then that kind of like didn't go anywhere, and they recently reached out again, so that might be. Although they don't seem like they'd be really good for me to actually be in a relationship with, but just to like hang out with maybe.
okay. You mentioned something that I find also a problem, and I'm guilty of it as well. You said that people are walking around looking at their cell phones. So that means they're not paying attention to the people around them.
Hmm.
And like, so if you go to the supermarket, if you go to, I don't know, Target, you go shopping, that's, or anywhere, that's how you would meet somebody organically in the real world without using a dating app. Um, I'm guilty of this because I'll go shopping supermarket, let's just say supermarket, and I'll put earbuds in, and of course what I do is I listen to podcasts. It's my time. It's 45 minutes to an hour of shopping. It's a good time I get the chance to listen. But I've been told that if you have earbuds in, that's the body language. You're telling potential women that might be single and looking that you're not open to be approached.
Hmm.
So do you find do you would you agree with that? So if like if you saw if you're so you just said you see people with this looking down at their cell phones. Let's say you saw somebody in the any store and they were shopping, whatever, but they didn't have their cell phones in their hand, but they had earbuds in. What?
I personally would approach them like I wouldn't think because I actually walk around with my earbuds in too, and sometimes just to muffle the noise, like if I don't know if there's like some baby screaming in the store or like an ambulance, it's kind of nice to have them in.
Yeah, no, I
So
agree.
I would if they're not looking down at their phone, I wouldn't think like the earbuds are like you know like saying keep away or anything. Um, so I hope that people don't think that about me because sometimes I do walk around with them in, like when I'm just like walking around or going to the grocery store. But I do take
Okay,
them
so
out like at the gym and if I'm out, obviously at a place.
all right, so wearing earbuds is not necessarily a bad thing. That you think that you're still approachable from to
That's what I
somebody. So
think, but I'm kind of
okay,
different, so hopefully other people agree. So hopefully. But yeah, I don't think
well,
it is.
Well, this is why I have you on. Is I'm getting the different perspective of different age brackets, and you are a woman who works and lives in a major metropolitan city. So yeah, your opinion counts. It's so
And I have approached people before, but just like friendly, like my neighbors who've had their earbuds in, and we've had conversations with earbuds in. So like for that, it doesn't seem to matter.
yeah. What I find myself doing a lot is if I'm at the supermarket and I need to, like I'm at the deli counter or the seafood counter or I'm at the checkout, and now I have to interact with that person. I have an Apple Watch. So all I have to do is the Apple Watch will pause whatever music you're playing or podcast you're listening to. You look down and it's the pause button is right there. So it's very quickly and easily to pause whatever
hmm
you're listening to. So I've done that, and so then you can have a conversation with the person you're interacting with.
Oh, but I was gonna add, even someone asked me for directions, even though I had earbuds in, and I was like, let me just pause this, and then I paused it and gave them the directions. Like, so it doesn't seem to stop people. But I think I used to be like, for a while, I'd ask guys out a lot, but I kept getting turned down. Like, they'd say they had girlfriends, maybe they really did. And then someone told me like some guys don't like to be asked out. So then I think I got a little bit like hesitant now, but I don't know. It's been pretty bleak out in the real world too. So
So you were told that somebody who told you that guys didn't like to be asked out.
just some guy that I was friends with.
Okay, that I find that in my case, I if a woman approached me and well, when you say asked out, you mean like a cold approach, like just walk up to you and ask you for your number, or walk up to you and start an like interaction with you?
Sometimes it would
Ask
be
you.
like, oh, maybe my waiter or something. I'm thinking back now. One time, there's a cute like waiter at like a cafe, and so he was when one time when he was at the table, I asked him, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I have a girlfriend." I
So,
actually, it was a while ago, so I can't really remember the other times, but I imagine I
so what
must
did
have
you
said something before asking them out. Yeah.
what did you ask the waiter? How did you ask him out?
Oh man, it
Do you
was
remember?
years ago, but I just think I said, "Would you want to hang out sometime?" That's probably what I said, something like that. Like, "Would you want to hang out sometime?" Or "Could I
Okay,
get your number?" I'd say something like that. "Could I get your number?"
all
Probably.
right. I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but maybe he did have a girlfriend, or yeah,
Yeah, that's very
that's the other
possible.
that's the other side of this whole dating thing is the rejection is you in like in my case uh, I don't know about I guess we could talk about this. Men, I think, have a tougher time asking women out. We have okay, well maybe I should speak in the eye. The self-confidence, once we get the confidence to walk up to so I'm in the apple section, right? Or the produce section, and I make eye contact with a woman and I would like to approach her and start talking to her about whatever, make up something so I can get a conversation going. We have a fear of, and I bring this up a lot in the podcast, especially post COVID. We were told for 2 years to stay away, stay 6 feet apart. And I went shopping today, and there were still people wearing masks. I had to say I must have seen
hmm
10 people wearing masks. So approaching somebody today is still depending on where their mindset is on COVID. They may not even want you to come near them. So the whole rejection thing is a whole issue unto itself. For me to muster up the confidence to walk up to a woman and start and then get rejected, and I was told, don't take it personally. That woman may be married or may be in a relationship or simply may not be interested in dating. And then, of course, there's the other side. They just may not be, may not, I may not be their type of person, type of male, but
Yeah,
whatever. So,
they might not even be into men, you know. Well, I was thinking that while Nancy figures it out, I was thinking maybe I don't go out enough to like bars. Like I don't really go out to like bars anymore. So maybe that's partly why. I'm like just hoping to meet someone at like an art thing or poetry thing or like or just out getting groceries or something or the gym, you know. And I know bars are like really where a lot of people meet, and I don't really go to that.
why?
Well, I don't drink anymore or do any drugs anymore. And I mean, I would go to a bar still, like if my friends were going, but you know, it's just that's no real reason for me to go.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would go and watch a basketball game, right? Like at like a sports bar or something. Um, but that hasn't been going on over the summer really, so.
So it would have to be, so it would have to be basketball or any sporting event? Or
I prefer basketball, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we also, you mentioned two things which I thought were interesting. So you're into poetry and you go to these open poetry mics.
hmm
So have you had any interaction with men there?
Yeah, but it hasn't really gone anywhere. Like I'll talk to people there, but I mean some of them are already dating like other people at the open mic. So that seems to be what happened. Like they'll mention their boyfriend or girlfriend, and I'm like, okay, that are like right standing right there. So yeah, so that seems to be what's been happening at those lately. Yeah, even one guy I was talking to, I was like, "Oh, this is a good conversation," and then he mentioned his girlfriend, and I'm like, "All right." But yeah, like I said, I did meet someone at my job last year, and they don't work there. They were like a consultant at the time, but they did have a lot of red flags where like they said some weird things and asked about like my friends, and then they disappeared. Now they showed up again and like texting me. So I don't think it's a good like viable person to really date. But what about like meeting someone at work? Is that like because I usually avoid that unless I know I'm leaving a place. So I don't know. What do you
Yeah.
think about that?
That's, well, there's the old phrase, don't shit where you eat. I think that's the phrase, meaning don't, if where you go to work, if you date somebody from your work, that's, you're asking for trouble, because you're going to see them, unless it's somebody like you just said, like a consultant that comes in once a week, or if it's a vendor or a salesperson and you don't see them all the time. But if it's somebody that you work with 8 to 5 or whatever the hours are, you're going to see them every single day. And then you're going to go out at night. And I think over the course of time, if you get into a relationship and let's say the relationship doesn't go well, and you have a fight, or you're not talking to each other, that's, and I know your career, I know what you do, so that would be difficult for you, wouldn't that be a
Yeah,
little awkward?
definitely.
Okay. Yeah, my opinion is don't date where you work. That's a that can cause issues down the road. um it's funny you mentioned that, because where I work, the owner of the company happens to be, uh, and he's he's married, and he was seeing somebody in the company for 20 years. She unfortunately passed away due to COVID 2 years ago.
Mm.
But for the 20 years that I was there, they were an item. And it was an interesting um, situationship, I guess is what they call it. It could be awkward because they did have their days when they were mad at each other, and what's the word? Resounded throughout the company. And she was the comptroller. She would run the financial back office, and he was the owner, and it just made it unpleasant for not only them but for the rest of us. So I would say workplace, no.
Yeah.
Again, unless it's somebody who's a consultant or comes in once a week or once a month or something.
Yeah, it's kind of
Okay.
funny because a lot of people are married at my job, but yeah, I had a crush on someone there, but it didn't work out anyway. Luckily, like their phone went missing, and then it just didn't go anywhere over the summer. So luckily, kind of probably. But the guy that I met who consulted, he was like we were flirting on my breaks near the end of the year, and then he like asked me weird stuff like if I would want to include a friend, and like even before we even went on a date, just us talking on the breaks, and then and he was like asking me like if I use drugs and all this stuff. And but I for some reason I find him so attractive. Like I don't know what it is with me, but I still find these men attractive that are just like not good for me. Yeah. So but he just started
Well,
texting me again.
you and I fall into that category where we seem to attract or go after attracting what's how do I put this? If we find if my last situation, she was attractive, but I'm finding out and some of my past episodes that a good-looking person, like really attractive, like male or female, doesn't mean that they're a good match. They can have a horrible personality. They can have uh, baggage and issues. Well, we all have baggage and issues, but um,
I know. I feel like this risky personality is attractive to me, even though it's like it's not gonna go well. Yeah.
well, and that's where you and I again have a similarity. I know your background, and I think you went. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you used to go for the. I'm going to use the cliche, bad boy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and today now that you're not in that arena anymore, you still may put out that vibe, and I think I'm in that same category because of the way I look. Between the tattoos and the long hair, I get this stigma. And the women on my dating apps, I was doing this speed dating thing on Bumble where you can speed date for 3 minutes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. For 2 minutes between 7 and 8 o'clock, you get to talk to random people. You don't get to see their profile and you don't see their name. For 3 minutes, you text, and the only thing you can do is just say, "My name is Andrew, and I live on Long Island," or whatever. And after 3 minutes, then they show you their profile, and you can click swipe right or swipe left to continue the chat after the speed dating is off. Every time I do this, I connect with maybe 3 or 4 women during that hour, and we seem to hit it off like during that 3 minutes that we talk. Once they see my profile, they hit the X, and because the first thing they see is me. My main profile is a picture of me, my full body, and you can see the 2 tattoo sleeves and the long hair, and right away and I get it. They may not be into men with long hair and tattoos. I get that. So, but that's something that I have, a lifestyle that I have chosen, and people keep telling me there is somebody out there that will accept me for who I am. So
Definitely. Yeah, I'm still attracted to people who smoke cigarettes, even though I don't smoke anymore. I still like feel attracted to people who do, which is like messed up. Because like if we were in a relationship, that wouldn't actually be great. Because like
why do you think that? What do you think that is that you're attracted to smokers?
I think I associate it with with dating and like sex because I always when I was first dating, I was smoking and hanging out with smokers. Probably that's probably why.
Interesting. Okay.
Probably.
Do you
Yeah.
find do you find that there are a lot of smokers in your age bracket?
Well,
Like
one
when you
person who I'm like hanging out with does smoke. I told him I don't want to be in like a serious relationship because he had bailed on me last year when I went through some things, and so that kind of showed me I wouldn't want to be. And he also isn't very he isn't sorry, he isn't like ambitious enough, I don't think for me. He's kind of homebody. But I do like he's chill, he's fun to hang out with, so like we're just hanging out and he does smoke. So it's kind of funny, but yeah, I definitely see a good proportion of people smoking in my age. I mean, not as
Hmm.
many probably as there used to be. And then not as many as the younger kids now too with the vaping. Like younger people than me vape a lot too. So more people in my age like smoke actual cigarettes, I think.
Hmm. Would you ever consider going back on an app? Let's say over the next 3 months you don't find anybody. So it's cause to me it sounds like you're very aggressive. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. You're out and about throughout your day, and if you see a guy that you are attracted to, you have no problem going up to him, and I admire
I
that in you.
used to. I haven't done as much lately, actually, because one guy, I was like running down the stairs to catch the subway. I'm kind of giving away where I was, but to catch a subway, and thought the doors were open. I was like, fuck. And then I saw someone holding open the door. So I ran in and got in last second. It was awesome. It felt so satisfying. And then this guy who I saw after who held the door like smiled at me and it was like a moment and I was like happy, but then I didn't have the balls to like talk to him that time. And he didn't either, I guess. So then he just got off at whatever stop. But
Mm.
that was the time. He was very cute too. I wish I did say something. But I don't know. I felt like weird. I've talked to random people on the subway before, but I didn't want to be weird, you know? I felt like I didn't want to seem creepy.
The concept of this conversation, part of that is it creepy to approach somebody if you find them attractive? And listen, you, you just said you're 34, so we know how old you are. So you're of the generation where dating apps, when you were, I guess, in your dating ages, 15, 16, 17, which was what, 10, 12 years ago, dating apps were just coming on the scene, right? There were dating websites back in 2005, like eHarmony and Match. They came on the scene, but they weren't apps. You had to go on a desktop. But the dating apps, as soon as the smartphones came out, 2012, 2014, that's when those dating apps. But prior to that, when I was growing up, we didn't have that. So the only way to get a date was what you're talking about. You go to a bar, you go to an event, you go to a sporting event, you meet them on the subway or on the street, or at school or at work. So it's almost going like full circle here because the old fashioned way used to be meeting people organically. Then the dating apps come on the scene. They were all the rage. At first, dating apps, people used to be embarrassed. Like if you met a couple and you say, "Hey, how'd you guys meet?" I remember telling somebody how I met somebody, and we lied because we were embarrassed. This was like 15 years ago. we didn't want them to know we met on a dating app, because back then
Hmm.
it had a stigma attached to it, like, oh, you're a loser if you have to go on a dating app. Today, it's what everybody does, but now everybody's complaining about the dating apps, and it's complicated. Uh, I,
Hmm.
I could tell a story of what happened to me this week, and I told it in my rant over the weekend. So for the audience, they can go back and listen to it. But it has gotten so complicated. I was texting this woman for a whole week, back and forth, and we were having a great conversation. And she said to me, "I don't want to text anymore. I'd like to get off the app." So I said to her, "Here's my phone number. Let's talk." And then the next morning, she texted me and she said, "Good morning. Uh, hope you have a fabulous day." And I wrote back, "Thank you. I hope you do too." This was early in the morning. And an hour later, I get a text back from her. And oh, by the way, I said to her, "Would you be open to a video chat like Friday night or Saturday?" That's all I said. No, we hadn't even talked on the phone yet, but we had exchanged phone numbers. She writes back to me, "I don't think we're a good fit. Good luck. Goodbye."
Yeah, that's so frustrating.
Yeah, but what happened? Because the 6 o'clock in the morning text I got from
Right.
her was, it was great. It was like, "Hi, here's my number. I hope you have a fabulous day. We'll talk later." And all I said to her was, "Do you want to do a video over the weekend so we can see each other?" My theory is that might have not been a real person. When you ask for a
Hmm.
video
Hmm.
chat and they say no, they're hiding something. So I have a feeling this person was not.
Sometimes
They
I don't really like video. I prefer phone calls because I feel so
Okay,
awkward. I feel like I'm looking at
but
myself in a mirror while I'm talking, and it feels weird.
but 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 okay. So I say to you, so we meet on a dating app, and we're having a 5 day conversation, and then we exchange phone numbers, and I say to you, "Hey, are you up for a video chat this weekend?" You're not comfortable with that. What would your response to me be?
Right. I would ask to either do a phone call or even meet, like, because I like to meet in person pretty
Thank
fast.
you.
So, yeah.
Thank you. You wouldn't say we're not a good fit. Goodbye. Because that's what I got. She didn't come back and say to me, "Hey, let's do a phone call first. I'm more comfortable with that." You see where I'm going? So, yeah, there are people like you who are not comfortable with video chats, and I get that, and that's perfectly okay. I had a woman over the summer who didn't want to do a video because she was too lazy. She said to me, "I have to put makeup on, so I don't feel like putting makeup on." At, at, at first, I was like, "Boy, that's pretty lazy. If why are you on a dating app if you're not interested in pursuing anybody?" But needless anyway, we ended up having the video chat 2 or 3 days later, but she did put her makeup on. But the point is that if you don't want to do the video, you just say, "Okay, how about a phone call first?" And I didn't get that. All I got was, "We're not a match. We're not a fit." Not even that. We're not a fit. So, all right. Um, I Nancy, I see you keep coming back in and out, and
We can hear
there
you.
she hear you. Wow. Well, everybody, Nancy has figured. What did you do? Do you know? And the echo is gone. Okay. To the audience, we did hear her earlier, but there was an echo, so I asked her to put her headphones on. So, but the echo is not there. Okay, Nancy, I'm glad you figured that out. Would you like to jump in? And we were talking about dating apps versus meeting people in the real world.
Yeah, so I'm just on eHarmony and I've had no luck. And this is a very dry website. About 3 years ago, I was on it. I met maybe two people. I went on a date with one, but I've had no hits. And then this week, I met a guy, and he on his own reached out to me and messaged me saying, "It looks like we're very compatible." So eHarmony has these like points where if you score a certain amount, their profile immediately comes up to say you're a match based on the points you have. So him and I had over like 100 points, probably like 109. So he reached out to me and said, "It looks like we're compatible." And I said, "Yeah." And we were messaging but it was no talk. Like it was just nonsense talk. There was no point in even talking. But he basically, the first 2 days, spoke about him going to his best friend's wedding, and he really didn't want to go, so he's looking for a suit to wear. And I said, "Why didn't you want to go?" And he said, because my friend is just making the wrong move. They've been off, him and his fiance have been off and on for a really long time. It's just not compatible. They're always fighting. They've had plenty of breakups. They've been together for 12 years and they're getting married, and even the fiance knows it's the wrong match, but he's just settling. So he told me that much, and I thought, okay, maybe this is going to go forward. After that, nothing happened. It was just dry conversation. Hi, how was your day? During the week, I just visited his profile, and it shows that if you've viewed a person's profile. So he had then messaged me, "How was your day?" I said, "How was your day?" He likes these supernatural movies, so we were just talking, and he's like, "We should have a watch party." And just like stuff like that threw me off. At first, I thought the conversation was getting a little more deeper because he talked about the wedding, and then it just threw me off. And I said, "I really don't like messaging on this app." And he's like, "Would you like to exchange phone numbers?" Which we did. This was around Wednesday. And he's just talking about watch parties and Netflix and Hulu. He's calling himself a nerd. And as he's talking, I'm getting so irritated. Just irritated. Like he's getting under my skin. Just just like what's the purpose of this? There's nothing to talk about, but yet there's so much to talk about. And then I just blocked him. I blocked him on both the app and
Well,
the phone, on the phone number, with the phone number.
so what do you think it was that turned you off about him? I,
Um,
I have a theory, but I want to
Me
see if
too.
you.
he was just, I don't know how to say it. Like I can feel it, but I keep saying he's useless and there's no purpose. He wasn't trying to get to know me as a man. I felt like he should have made a move, and that's it.
Like ask you out on a date. Like,
Or get to know me more, or like let's FaceTime, or let's chat on the phone. Nothing,
right.
nothing. He wants to have watch parties. I don't want a watch party.
See, watch part. I think men or women may do this, especially when the Barbie movie came out. They probably all had watch parties where everybody gets together and they watch a movie and I guess either drink beer or smoke pot or whatever they do these days. Maggie, what was your theory?
Oh, I was gonna say basically what Nancy said, that he was like just kind of talking but not asking you to hang out or do anything, and it wasn't even, yeah, and like you said, he wasn't asking you any questions. It was just like pointless talk where you're like, what the fuck is this person talking to me for? Like, I would definitely feel the same way.
I Nancy, I was telling Maggie a story. I'm not going to repeat it, but I had interaction with somebody this week, which I did the opposite. She mentioned to me that she didn't want to endless texting. So I gave her my number and I said, let's text. And I offered her to go on a video chat. And um, all of a sudden, everything went well until I mentioned the video chat. And then she said to me, we're not a good match. Goodbye. So I try to follow the lead of the lady. So my thought to you, too, is if you want the guy to take a next step, I got to be honest with you. Guys can be dumb, and I know you might say, well, then I don't want to date these guys, but I think most guys, they don't know how to navigate the woman's mind. Matter of fact, I did an episode. I interviewed a guy that wrote a book about how to navigate a woman's mind. It's coming up in a couple of weeks. It's difficult. So drop them a direct hint. Like this woman said to me, I'm not a fan of endless texting. So say that to them. Say, I'm not a fan of, and Maggie, you said that you
Yeah.
would like to meet in
I'm
person.
very clear and extremely impatient. So I'll tell them exactly that. I'll say I'm not into just messaging. I like to just meet in person because I don't feel like I can get a real sense of someone over the phone. Like I don't think it's a real until I meet you, and then I often get like just kind of frustrated if we're just like messaging on the phone for too long, and then I won't even want to meet you anymore. So I've said this to someone. This was actually why I stopped using the app because I said this to a guy and then we planned to meet and he canceled. And then we planned to meet again and he canceled and without ever meeting me. So he canceled twice on me without ever meeting me. So I was like, fuck this shit. I'm not using the apps. And then I also told him to not message me anymore. He tried to and I was like, please just stop messaging me because you're just gonna set me up to cancel on me again. But in person isn't even much better. Like I met someone in person by chance. They were like friends of a friend. They were a friend of a friend, and they happened to be around. And I met them and hung out with them for a while. But they were like constantly like I had to beg them to hang out. Like they never fucking reached out. I had to literally beg them to hang out with me. And like tried to want them. I tried to ask them to hang out with me more. They were like very obviously like rotating other girls and then like didn't have enough time for me and I was like trying to beg them to hang out. So then I ended that. And then they tried to text me again recently and I was like, please and they were like going on about how they picked out a restaurant. They were asking me what food I wanted and they like picked it out and they're like, let's hang out next week. And then next week comes, they don't text me. They don't do anything for 2 weeks. So then I text them, please don't ever contact me again. And they were like going on and on, like, what did I do? Blah, blah. And they're like, oh, I should have said something. So I was like, just fucking stop talking. And they were like, can you tell me how I make you feel? And I was like, you make me feel frustrated and among other things, I forgot what else I said, and I was like, and they were like asking me shit, like it was a business, like they're asking me in like a business tone, like how could I improve? And I was like, just fucking leave me alone, please stop, and that was it. So like, I don't know, man. Even when you spell it out, and this was over months, like he had time and then, like I said, we stopped talking. He texted me many months later. So he had time to try to adapt and he didn't. Like both of them, like the other guy on the dating app, it was a couple weeks, a few weeks. He had time to adapt. I think a few weeks is time to adapt, right? If I ask you to meet in person.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So to the audience, I'm gonna just tell you that I know these two ladies, and I've met them both in person, and they're friends of mine, and they are attractive women. So, with that said, ladies, what do you think is going on in the dating scene today? Why is this happening? So, we got three people on this meeting right now who can't seem to get a date going in the past 6 months.
I was just gonna say, I think I'm surprised you pay for these subscriptions, and men go on it for just sex and flings and hookups, and I'm like, what's the point of that when you could do that normally? And they're paying for these sites and going on these sites for hookups. I saw one profile today on eHarmony, and it said, "What
Yeah.
is your ideal first date?" And someone posted without a picture, and that's another thing. A lot of them don't put pictures on. Um, and what's your ideal first date? And this person with no picture actually said food and sex. Um, so I'm confused. I'm just very confused. Like,
Well, at least you know not to. At least he's upfront about it. I don't. eHarmony is not known for that. eHarmony is one of the most premier dating sites where you're supposed to be able to meet quality type people. If he's on there looking for sex on the first date, he should be on Tinder. All right, he shouldn't be on eHarmony. eHarmony is not cheap, right? So to pay for that, he's on the wrong app. Okay, Maggie, what was your what's your answer?
Uh, yeah. My theory is that there's just like endless options in the dating apps now, like that are
Yeah,
just all potential. Like, and then some of them are computers. You don't know who the fuck you're talking to. So it's all potential, but people, I think, prefer to just stay in these like potential spaces where they might be able to hang out with this person, or they overbook because there's so many people or computers on this dating app that they like overbook and they cancel on you without even meeting you. I feel like maybe that's, or they like find
I
someone else on the app that night
I
and
did
just
hear
don't show
that
up.
theory. I was talking to somebody who created a dating app, interviewed somebody, and they are saying that there are too many options out there, that they're flooded. So more of the women are getting flooded with the guys. So, and you two ladies, you might know this. I don't know how your inboxes look, but if you have 20 or 30 men to choose from, it can be overwhelming. I don't know if a guy's really attractive and he's getting a lot of messages from women. Uh, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe he'll set something up with you, but I don't want this to come across sounding mean. But if something better comes along, they're going to drop you like a hot potato, and I think that's wrong. I think if you make plans with somebody, you go out on that date, and if it doesn't work out, then you don't go again. But I think you hit.
Hmm. Yeah, and sorry. And the other thing is they used to not be able to like without technology, people if they stood you up, you'd be waiting out wherever you made a plan for, right? Because they couldn't tell you otherwise. But now they could just text you and then you know it's off. So like it's like less stakes, to cancel on someone
And
than it
that's
used to
called
be.
ghosting. They're basically ghosting you. They make a date with you and then they just don't show, right? And then you don't hear from them again. Is that
Right, but like back in the day, right, before cell phones, people like would know that they have to like set a
right?
plan beforehand. So you'd say, "Oh, like, or let's meet up so and so at this time," and they know you'd be waiting there at that time, and it might, prompt them to actually try to
Right.
show up a little bit more. Whereas now, like people could just message you, "Oh, I can't make it," or like not even make a set plan and then just kind of ghost you, like you said.
And I had a conversation with again another guest, and this whole concept of ghosting is just unacceptable. If you honestly make plans with somebody and you can't make that for whatever, even if you have another option and you choose to go with option plan B or plan or woman B, you should text the first person and say I can't make it, because if you're sitting there standing on the corner of whatever, you know, Eighth Avenue and Ninth, and you're waiting for him to, you know, it's just rude. It's just not right. But we're not dealing with. There's a whole new world out there, and um, I guess people don't feel obligated to be humans anymore and be decent about it. So okay, ladies, this is a fascinating conversation. I'm really glad I got to get both of you on. And Nancy, I'm glad you were able to join us. Before we wrap it up, any final thoughts or comments about the modern dating world?
I think it keeps me active and a little bit social because I'm not getting much of that or any of that at all. So I think I'm gonna eventually switch, but I have this year's subscription on eHarmony. But I think I'm gonna go back on Match and see what's out there because I had more hits on that than anywhere else.
Okay. And these dating sites, when you stop, when your subscription ends, have you been getting coupons or like discounts offers from them?
No, but that's a good idea. I didn't think of that.
When I stop with Match and I stop with eHarmony, every week I get 2 or 3 come back 30% off, 40% off, and then I got a 60% off. They want you back. So look, check. I'm surprised that they're not trying to get you back in with the discount, because I'm getting flooded with discounts. Maggie, any parting thoughts on? So you're staying off the apps for now?
Yeah. Funny thing though, I did happen to see my next door neighbor on an app once on a dating app. I didn't swipe, but now I see him around the neighborhood and I'm like, oh, this is so, maybe I could date them. So, but we talk in person on like the sidewalk now. But yeah, so that's a potential
Hmm.
if I think they're single, potential person to date maybe.
Well, that's like dating somebody at work. If you date somebody that you live next door to and it doesn't work out, then you got issues. So be careful with
Right,
that.
that's
Yeah,
true too.
you always got to think down the road. Just because they're convenient because they're at work or their next door neighbor. If you go on 5 dates and then the fifth date the guy says something stupid, or let's say you start having sex with them and you get into like a mini relationship, or I don't know, friends with benefits, and then they start dating somebody else. You come home.
Yeah,
You come home one night and you see him walking in his apartment with another woman. That
yeah, not good. That
that
wouldn't
that
be
would be that
good.
would be awkward. So I I think dating in the same apartment building and dating at work is something you would try to avoid, because it's only going to be make it complicated. So I'd like to invite both of you back. This was to the audience. This was an impromptu get together. I have a new software, and I asked them to Maggie and Nancy to come on to test out the software, and this may or may not make it on the air. I haven't figured it out yet. If the ladies think this went well enough, I'll publish it. But I may ask you guys to come back in a couple of weeks or maybe a couple of months, and we'll get an update on your story. Maybe you have met somebody by then. You can fill us in on the details.
Cool.
All right. All right, ladies. Thank you for joining me, and of course, spread the word. If you have any friends struggling with dating and they want to come on and tell their story, doesn't have to be struggling either. If you know anybody who has matched with somebody and they're happy, the dating apps get bad raps. But I have heard people that are getting married and getting into
Hmm.
relationships on the dating
Okay.
apps. So I don't want to paint a picture that the dating apps are horrible, because I am hearing the reverse, that they're working. But I haven't seen it, and neither of you have seen it. So I'm waiting for someone to come on here and give us a happy story about a dating app. So, but anyway, thank you. Have a great evening, and we will check back with you in a couple of months, and hopefully we'll have an update. One of us has to get a date in the next couple of months. All right, ladies.
Yep, thank you.
Well, there you have it. Season 2 underway. Men, boys, did you hear what the ladies had to say? I think what it comes down to, well, I when Nancy says she wasn't getting coupons to come back to Match, I think there are too many women on the dating apps and not enough men. Because I'm getting flooded from 3 different apps that I'm no longer on, and each week I'll tell you what they are. They're Match, eHarmony, and I'm no longer on Bumble. I'm getting emails from Bumble. They want the men back, and I just think there's too many ladies out there. So I hope you enjoyed that, and wow, there's a lot more to come. I have so many good episodes coming up. So, all right, here it comes. If you like this podcast, please stop, take a couple seconds, and if you're on Apple, leave a review. 5 stars would be nice. Tell a friend, please tell a friend. And if you need to make a choice, I urge you to please choose wisely, especially in this modern dating world that we live in. Until next time, folks. Ciao.